On this week's Farrell Sports Business Podcast, we're going to go behind the scenes of one of my favorite events, the Baseball College World Series in Omaha. Look at how it works, the organizing committee, the relationship with the NCAA. They call this event the greatest show on dirt, and it drives over $100 million of economic impact to the city of Omaha. Phenomenal event, and I love it. I've been 3 times, sometimes with work. I'll be there again this year with my company Bat Around, and also keeping an eye on the Arkansas Razorbacks, of course. I'm the host, Matt Farrell, and today's guest is the executive director of the College World Series at Omaha, the greatest show on dirt, Amy Hornocker. Amy, I'm so happy you joined.
Oh, so good to see you. Excited to be here.
Oh, this is great and such a timely topic. But just not all listeners are in the United States, so I think a little quick refresher on what is the College World Series and maybe a little bit of its history with Omaha in particular.
Okay, yeah, so the College World Series is basically the national championship for men's college baseball. So the NCAA's national championship. So we actually have what we call Selection Monday instead of like Selection Sunday for basketball. So we'll get a bracket of 64. They'll play regionals and then they'll go to a super regional before the 8 finally make their way to Omaha. So that's also unique. You know, you see a lot of, Final Four, Frozen Four, and we get 8. So that's a kind of an extra challenge with basically double the teams. But the history here in Omaha is long. So we will actually celebrate, taking into account a COVID year, 75 years in the city next year for 2025. So it started out in, I think it was Kalamazoo for a couple of years, and then it went to Wichita for a year. We had Omaha Municipal Stadium was built, which was then later Rosenblatt Stadium, for people that know the College World Series. We had some leaders. It was built. We had some community leaders that had they just had a vision for this event to be in Omaha. So they successfully took it from Wichita. It was not making money for many, many years. But now it's been here, like I said, it'll be 75 years next year. So a long tradition. Obviously, if you are familiar with the event, the Road to Omaha is basically synonymous with it. We take pride in the fact that across the country, these teams' locker rooms don't say like Men's College World Series, they say Road to Omaha, and there's different varieties of whether it's our sculpture of the dog pile or just the words themselves. But so it goes hand in hand.
Well, it's phenomenal. I've only made 3 of the 75, but it's just a great event, and I love being a part of it. So this bears a little bit of explanation maybe of your organization is called the College World Series at Omaha. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that organization and its distinction from the NCAA? Because it's not the NCAA, and correct. I think just a little explanation would be helpful.
Yeah, so we are the only full-time local organizing committee for any of their national championships. So we are a nonprofit governed by a board of directors that was put together by those same community leaders in 1967. So we did not have we actually had a meeting planning business that actually ran this event alongside this series until we built the new stadium in 2011. And that, as part of that long-term contract, they hired a full-time staff. So while the NCAA has championships, long-term championships in other cities, Oklahoma City, Frisco, Texas, we are the only entity or local organizing committee that exists year-round. USA Softball runs and along with the committee and the university down there runs the Women's College World Series. We've talked to them a lot. I think they're looking at a similar structure. So, and we've actually been talking to Division I Golf. University of Texas is hosting in California, but they're hoping they've put a lot of money into this course in California. So they're hoping for a long-term agreement. So we're seeing more and more of these communities trying to get long-term agreements. So, but we are the first.
Well, you do it well, but really there are three major entities, maybe more that I just don't know of. But really, your organizing committee, the NCAA, and then ESPN, the broadcaster.
Mm-hmm.
How do you navigate that? ESPN's role is probably pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But how do the roles divide? How do you navigate that three-way partnership of you, NCAA, and ESPN?
So actually, we actually have like little to do with ESPN. So the broadcast portion of their rights and everything is like the NCAA's contract. So we have a contract with the NCAA to host the event, and then our organization has a mirror contract with the city and Mecca, who runs our stadium. But outside of that, the NCAA's broadcast agreements and like their corporate partner agreements are separate from this overall contract. So we're here. We know the ESPN folks, but have little to do with TV time or any of that. So.
Got it. Well, how about you, Amy? What's your? We met in a different phase of our professional lives through connections with swimming, but how did you get into this role? A little bit of professional background for you.
Yeah, so it's kind of like I tell this story. It's a long history. I grew up over in central Iowa. I was a baseball manager. We were in a tournament. My high school team was in a tournament in Sioux City, which is an hour and a half north of Omaha, around the same time the CWS was. So we came down, went to a couple games, and that was like my first taste of the event. And then fast forward to my college career, I needed an internship. And it never really like left my mind. It's not far from home. So just reached out and was lucky enough to get the internship here. Just kind of kept in touch with people as I graduated. Came back over here to the sports commission. And that's when we crossed paths, had the opportunity to be a part of 3 Olympic swim trials. In a bunch of variety of other sporting events here in Omaha. And then in 2017 came back to this staff. So I have a long history with this event, but been doing sports for a long time in this city. So pretty much call it home now.
Oh, I didn't know the internship start to that. That's
so,
amazing.
I can show you a little. I think if I move my camera, I have a logo on my wall from 1998, which was the year I came here. So if that ages me a little bit, yeah.
Oh, that's so good, because we
Yes.
talk with students all the time about the importance of the internships, and you never know where it's going to start.
No.
Mine was with USA Swimming when I was a junior in college.
I don't think I knew that either. That's great.
So you touched on this a little bit. I want to come back to Omaha and just the absolute iconic connection of the College World Series to Omaha. What does this event bring to the city?
It's on top of the economic impact, with tourism economics, we did our study last year, and we were at about 115 million. So that, besides that, impact, it's the start of summer. I think we never felt it as much as the COVID year, where this thing is large. It goes about 2 weeks, and it impacts like every corner of the city. So when we got the information, the call that we weren't doing this, it wasn't happening in 2020, and the phones start ringing, and you forget how many people play a role in making sure this thing happens. So, from fireworks to the people that were sew patches on to the uniforms, there's so many people that in this city that play a role in this thing, small and large. But um, it was also like people felt lost. Like they're like, this is how we kick off summer. Can you at least open the parking lots? Can we at least
Oh,
tailgate?
wow.
So I think it's crazy, the support, I mean, from the mayor's office, on down, on just from public safety to public works to all the things that these people contribute every day. We also have these team hosts for each team gets a team host. These guys, I'm not kidding. We have one group that's retiring this year, been doing it since the 70s. So they have many, many stories. Some of them have national championship rings. So there's so many moving parts, but Omaha does it better than a lot of people, I would say.
How about the brand side? I think what people maybe just the light bulb goes on of how much of a financial hub it is, from everything from Berkshire Hathaway to Union Pacific to Mutual of Omaha. But how do you look at it from a brand recognition as a place to live, a place to do business in Omaha?
Yeah, I think it's a huge piece, and it's something that we continue to try and get out in the community. We don't want to be taken for granted. We happen every year because it's a huge piece of retaining and keeping talent here is to have these kind of cool events happening in your community. So yeah, I think Omaha people always are like, if you meet them in the airport or something, they're like, oh yeah, College World Series or Warren or the zoo. So those are like our three pillars. But yeah, we have a lot of Fortune 500 companies, which is another reason they've helped stand us up. And make sure that we continue to be successful. And as our contract goes through 2036, so that's not too far down the road. So, and I think this contract's going to look a lot different. This is the second highest grossing revenue championship that the NCAA has, behind March Madness by a long shot. But baseball is their second. Out of the 90s. So they're constantly looking at ways to, and rightfully so with all the things going on in college athletics, of how to leverage revenue. And so I think our contract will look a lot different. And so our companies in town and just community members to keep to as we kind of navigate the next, hopefully, extension. So.
Oh, just the economic impact and being number two. I think you might intuitively think football, but maybe that's just so fragmented around
Yeah,
that
so they have.
baseball's being number two is surprising.
Yeah, so the CFP doesn't really feed in to the NCAA. I mean, they follow NCAA rules, but they have the FCS, which is normally dominated by the North Dakota states and of the world. But yeah, we're a big one.
So how about your organization itself being year round?
Mm-hmm.
And I will get into like what happens specifically at the event during those 2 weeks, but what's the size of your operation, your organization, mission, other things that you do in the community would be helpful to understand.
Yeah, so there's 5 of us that are here. We call it, say, boots on the ground, year round. So we have what we call a season ticket holder base. So we have about 3,000 season ticket accounts. So that's almost like 12,000 tickets. And when we say season, they basically get the all session. And some of these people have had these tickets since the beginning. And then when we moved to the new stadium, we reset them, and it's a real they pass them down. The only way you can transfer these is to a relative. So we have a pretty strict transfer policy. So they've gone through a lot of, generations of families. But we have a director of ticketing that manages. Her job is to manage those accounts, and she works with the NCAA ticketing team on all things ticketing. We also have pretty much it's like an operations and events director who oversees a lot, like they're kind of the catch-all. So we have an opening event that they organize, volunteers, and we have a pretty robust internship program that we can talk about, because it sounds like you have some listeners that maybe are looking for those kinds of things. And then last year we added, or 2 years ago, we added a creative person. So we had marketing. We worked through an agency for many, many years. But the need for like social media content and any creative stuff was there. So we made that hire. Because I will say we have 3 distinct lanes we stay in for this event. So the NCAA runs basically what we say, anything in between the chalk. So like all the baseball event specific things, they're less like fan information, fan focused. Like they don't interact a lot with the fans, where our channels are more to tell the story of Omaha, the fans, everything that's going on. And then Mecca who is our stadium manager, does all the, safety messaging, concessions, all those kinds of things. So we have definitely lanes. We all work together well when we need coordinated messaging. But it's been great seeing these content teams come in, and we get an couple interns every year, and they think I'm so dorky because it's not my wheelhouse. Like, I'm operations based, always have been, and so I watch them put these videos together. They put the national championship trophy in the penguin exhibit at the zoo last year, and I was like, so it's really cool to see what they create. Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, we just learned you're a product of this internship program.
Yeah.
And can you talk about that a little bit? Because what does it entail? Is it just spring and summer, year round? What's the internship program about?
Yeah, I should step back. Like, we also have like a NCAA internal team that works on baseball too. I want to give them shouts out too, because they are obviously, this is their event. And we have counterparts in Indianapolis that work with us on this thing, but they also run, so most of them have 4 other national championships that they touch. So good friends there. But yeah, the internship is awesome. I love it. We actually have 3 in the office right now. We'll add about 7 more the week before the event that just stay for the event. So we need, obviously, the extra people when this thing comes along, and then they also really changed the dynamic of our office, so it gets a lot more fun. And then when everybody leaves, I'm sad, but we have a few different options for our internship. Our spring intern they're usually doing it for a college credit, so it's usually like a semester long. So joined us in January, will stay throughout, and they're essentially like the lead intern, so they will hire with one of our staff members the other, like basically their team. And then we have a summer intern that really her sole focus is helping with volunteers and Fan Fest. And then we have a social media intern. And then we also, the ones that come on board for the 2 weeks, they have a lot of jobs, so they assist in different ways between on-field, in-game presentations, with the corporate partners, to hospitality room management, and all that stuff. So they get to see. What's really cool about the internship is, a lot of times you specialize, right? Like, you're going to either be in ticketing or marketing, or you're going to be calling people to try and get them to buy ticket, those things, where they get to see a lot of different pieces of this championship.
Oh, what a valuable experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit hard to generalize, Amy, but we'll do it anyway. So 2-week event. What's a typical day for you? And does it change when there's 8 teams involved at the beginning and 2 at the end? But
yeah,
what does your day look like?
Yeah, so we have, with the 8 teams are here, it is a lot crazier. We have 2 games a day, so we'll have 4 on and 4 that aren't. So they need offsite practice space, which we also manage. My role has changed a lot since I moved into this executive director role 2 years ago. So I'm still kind of trying to find out like where I belong on, like being in the trenches on, is a little less and less for me. But every day is different. Just making sure everybody's doing what they need to do. While also like, who's here from, a VIP standpoint. If we have weather, how that works out, which we oftentimes do in this part of the country. So, yes, every day is different. We usually have a normal schedule, but then, anything can take that off the rails.
Well, I mean, that's kind of maybe the follow up to it is we've talked about the different entities involved from ESPN to NCAA to Mecca, the stadium, volunteers, your staff. Another general question, but it's a live event. Things don't go as planned, weather or some other surprise. Take maybe COVID year out of it. How do you, from a process standpoint, if something doesn't go right, how do you manage that group of entities and stakeholders, and what's the process you might go through when maybe something just doesn't go quite right?
Yeah. So what's great about being here year round, I think, is that we have the opportunity to come together for a lot of different scenarios, I would say. So, especially from, the event management and like security standpoint, we have a pretty big footprint of law enforcement in public safety entities from local to federal levels. So we usually have, like, from that side, at least once a year, we're running some sort of tabletop or security sort of training. There's unfortunately, always a new trend of what terrible people have in mind. So we all work really well that way. And then again, our partnerships with between the city and the stadium operators and the NCAA and their partners, because of the familiarity, we have different scenarios of like who goes where when, and what messaging is here for different things. So,
well, on the good side, Amy, then you have some, maybe hopefully some fun surprises where a Peyton Manning shows up,
yeah.
or now
or
I'm just
Olivia
blanking on her
Dunn.
name.
Olivia Dunn. She was everywhere last year. So yeah, it's good. We do get a lot of, people through here. It's so interesting. We have these very large youth tournaments, baseball tournaments that pop up for this so that they can go to the games at night. And so a lot of times we'll get Peyton's been here because his kid was playing in that tournament. So a lot of times it's wild how many of them have kids that are playing and then they just end up in Omaha. So, and then obviously there's the ones that follow their fan, if they played there or whatever. So like someone I know, is there like a Hogs fan here?
Woo, pigs.
Yeah.
Obnoxious.
I'd love to see them get one though. Just talk about a classy operation. Like one of my favorite teams that rolls through here. So I'm not just saying that for you because I have no Arkansas affiliation, but I appreciate the teams that come in here and just are great to work with. So,
well, what teams and what conferences are great and are a little more rowdy is probably a topic for another day.
Yes, we do. We have some really traditionally great schools that come in here and are fan favorites. So.
I'll speak. You don't have to acknowledge this. I know the SEC crowd can be a little more rowdy, and they like to have some fun. So
they do. I do sometimes feel bad for the teams that are their opponents that maybe travel less.
All right. So just a few questions really about you, and these are meant to be just kind of quick hitters, understanding how you got into your job. So what was your school and major?
Yeah, so I went to Iowa State. I'm a Cyclone. I don't have a baseball team, so I'll never see them here, unfortunately. But I went to college. I played sports in high school, but I was never really good at anything. But it was like that's where my friends were. Like that was what we did. I went to Iowa State kind of undecided. I had a really good advisor that was like, "Hey, we have this. Like, tell me about yourself. We have this program." So I got involved. I have a sports management degree. Well, I had the opportunity to work in the football office there. And that's kind of how I started, and then had to have that internship to graduate, which started me off over here. So,
And maybe a key mentor in your career.
yeah. I mean, you and I both know her. Arlene McDonald I was like, my first job, my real job was a sports commission. I started in 2007. We were hosting the 2008 Olympic trials, building these pools in this building. I had never been to a swim meet. And then Dean Ekron always used to joke like, and then you got one that had like fireworks. So like you went from 0 to like 1,000. So Arlene is, and I know she's probably really busy right now helping with the one at Finally in her hometown. But she has a long swimming event, mostly swimming, but event career. And I've learned a lot from her about how you treat people, hard work, and surrounding yourself with good people that can help you, with like no ego. So sometimes I'm like, and I swear to God, because she's so specific about her signage, and like you can never have like a paper sign, which she will like walk in there and see it from them. And so like I think I drive my staff nuts because it's a little bit like ingrained in here now. Like that looks terrible. You
That's
need to
so
like
good. That's so good.
so
What a
I
first class
appreciate her.
person.
Yeah, I appreciate her so much. I still haven't talked to her in a little while because I know she's busy, but she's been always been a cheerleader for me. So, and I
Awesome.
have a
Well,
lot. I have a lot. Like all of you guys pretty much raised me. So,
anything, just you get the last shot, Amy. Anything I
okay.
didn't ask that you want to add
No,
that
I
I
mean,
should be asking about you or the College World Series?
I don't think so. I mean, if anybody, like I said, celebrating 75 years. So if anybody has any great ideas of how we can do that, we're working through that. But anything's welcome. But I guess, if for people that are listening, like just, I always tell like anybody looking for internships, it's just like, just work hard and, um, you know, keep your contacts and never know. If you're a hard worker, you'll end up being okay somewhere. So,
Well, it's great advice. My shameless plug is I will actually be in Omaha for the College World Series. I'll
yay!
be the front end and the back end, wearing the hat of my business, bat around. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna, with any luck, sneak a couple hog items in the
Hope.
luggage. So,
Yes, hopefully, hopefully.
Amy,
Awesome.
you're awesome, especially at a crazy time of year. I appreciate you joining and
Happy
great
to
to
be
reconnect.
here. Yes.